Hello, Get Mom Ready crew. Meredith Mayo here. I am so very excited to introduce you to a dear friend of mine, Becca Gonzalez. We have her on the podcast today as a guest talking all about finances. So honestly, she is the queen at making finances feel more approachable, more doable. She's a soft place to land, which, if you're anything like me, is exactly what you need when it comes to talking about and looking at your finances. So I'm so excited to have you join us for this conversation today. Feel free to leave us any comments in wherever you listen to podcasts, but specifically on getmomready.com. That's also where you can submit topic requests. You can get a hold of us through getmomready.com. You can also just message us on Instagram, or if you have our personal phone numbers, text us, whatever. We love to hear from you. We love your feedback. We love your topic request. And also over on getmomready.com is where you will find out how to work with any of us. If you'd like to receive coaching, we do offer coaching. So if you want to work with Hannah, Anna, Holly, or myself, the information to do so, to book a coaching call and to just kind of learn more about that is over on getmomready.com. If you're a visual girly, you certainly can watch the podcast over on that website as well, but you can also tune in, as you are now, anywhere you listen to podcasts. So like, subscribe, share. We're so grateful you're here. We're so grateful for your support and that these conversations are really resonating with you. And we think you're going to love this conversation on finances with the queen, Becca Gonzalez.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this week's Get Mom Ready episode. We are so excited to have a guest with us today who Meredith is going to introduce in just a second. But before we jump in, we want to thank our sponsor, PDPed, which, by the way, Anna, last week you crushed the intro without me. I was so proud. PDPed.com, PEDIPED.com. Use code MOMREADY for 20% off your first order. These are shoes that are made for healthy feet, for healthy kid feet. So go grab them. Mom Ready. I always want to say Get Mom Ready. Mom Ready is the code to get 20% off your first order. And with that, Meredith, take us away, my friend.
Okay. A few weeks ago, we were talking about topics, and maybe, Hannah, it was you that were like finances, and maybe it's come up on social. However, we arrived at finances, and I said, everyone hold your horses. We must, and I repeat, we must have Becca Gonzalez on the podcast. And the reason I say that is because not only is she a money whiz, we'll talk about her background in a second, like kind of what led her to this point, but because for me, as somebody who hates talking about finances, I don't want to look at them, don't want to act. I mean, the Enneagram 7 avoider in me, I'm like, it's not fun. Let's not. But I knew I needed to several years ago, and reached out to Becca about her course, which are you still forget? This is me not being on social and not being up to speed. So forgive me. But at the time you were running a course, Mind Her Business. And I said, I need to be in this course. And the reason I chose hers versus any other course online is because Becca makes it approachable and accessible. She makes you feel less clenched around money. Okay. Like you're like, okay, this is doable. This is approachable. We can do this. And taking that course was literally game-changing for me. But I also really respect and appreciate, again, her approach and her tender teaching spirit. It's like you feel like you have to speak a different language. She'd be like, yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. Like if you're listening to finance podcasts or whatever, and Becca makes it very simple. So if you feel very lost at sea, like I did, you're like, oh, actually, you feel a lot more capable and empowered to look at your finances, handle them. So what I want people to hear is this is not like boring finance conversation. This is like, you're going to walk away with practical stuff. You're going to feel encouraged. And we'll talk a little bit about the tension points, Becca, that you see over and over again with women, with business owners, with moms, all the people that you talk about in kind of what your work is to help them just live in some, I don't know, what would you call it? I don't even want to say financial freedom, but just like the weight lifted of money feeling so weighty. Is that how you would, like, how would you kind of riff on that?
I mean, yes, to all of that. Thank you so much. That was so nice. I'm going to have to record it and play it every morning while I'm getting ready to my work. I think it's as simple as like understanding what is happening with your money so you can start using it to get ahead. And so once you understand what's happening with your money, then you can't be afraid of it anymore because it's like, oh, well, that's it. Like it's that easy.
Yeah. That's a good word.
Simple.
Simple.
Yeah.
That's good.
okay, maybe it's helpful to give your background if you feel comfortable, because I think it's a fascinating jumping off point of what got you to this point. And then there are some specific questions that came in on social media we'll get to, but I think maybe give us kind of what your pain point was that ultimately got you here. And then I think it'd be interesting to hear the top maybe one or two pain points that you hear from women over and over, like the things, the questions you feel like your work is designed to get at, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. Well, my husband and I got married in 2015, and I brought $90,000 of debt to the marriage, and he brought a whopping $0.
Wow.
And we realized very quickly we were raised quite differently around money, hearing about money, spending money. Like it was not going to work unless we made it work. And so we, I don't usually say the program, but we went into Financial Peace University. That was like our wedding gift to one another. And I went all in. I mean, like I was the number one advocate for Financial Peace University. And like, you get a year in and I was like, nothing matters but paying off debt. No, I don't care if you want to go out to eat. We're paying off debt. I don't care that you want to go on vacation. We're paying off debt. And then like 2 years later, he came home from work. He'd worked 14 hours and I checked the bank account incessantly every day. And he spent $1 on a drink at work. And I was so mad. And so I met him at the door. My hands were, if you know me, like I'm super sassy. I put my hands on my hip and I was like, really? Like I had a plan for that $1. It's crazy. Yeah, I see your face, Hannah. Insane behavior. And so
I can attest to that. I would feel the same way. I'm like sassy. Yeah.
But he looked at me pretty similarly. And like that look was all I needed. I was like, I've gone off the deep end. I have made this my whole identity and something has to change. And so we sat down that weekend and I was like, what do you want with the money? Like, I've never asked you. I want to pay off debt, but like, what do you want?
Interesting.
He was like, I want to go on vacation. Like, I want to, I don't know, live life a little bit, enjoy waking up in the morning and have something to look forward to.
Like a drink at work.
Yeah,
buy $1 drink at work.
I want to buy a drink if I forget it. And I was like, all right. So we built our own plan based on what he wanted and what I wanted. It took a little longer to pay off the debt, but we did it. And we went on like we're the family that goes to the beach every year. I actually hate the beach, but everybody loves it. So have you seen me?
Well, but I don't assume that just because you're Gwenna that you don't like the beach, girl.
I don't like the beach. The sand, the sensory experience is not my thing. But anyway, we started doing like, building that into our money plan. We started saving again. We started investing in retirement again while we were paying off debt. And so it went much slower than I would have liked, but we still did it in 5 years, which is still like, I look back
That's
and I'm
amazing.
like, wow. Also, I'd like to admit into evidence, I was a teacher. Like, you don't get paid as a teacher.
Yeah.
And so I was, working side hustles and stuff, and we were being really creative with money. So you don't have to make a ton of money to hit your financial goals. It's faster.
Yeah.
But, you just have to kind of make it a game. We gamified everything after that point, and it just made it more fun. And we became a team again. And that was a huge part.
Yeah. There are some questions. I'm like, do we want to get into it now? There are some specific questions about when you and your partner are not on the same team. I wonder, let's put a pin in those. We will come back to them because you have literal experience in that. I want to hear kind of what, if you had to whittle down what you hear over and over, the theme that you hear over and over again, because you work with women specifically, right? I mean, mostly women, business owners specifically, right? Like, right?
Wait,
Mostly.
pause. Sorry, real quick. How did we go from being a teacher to running your own business?
That's great question.
Part of, our Get Mom Ready
gap.
crew. A lot of our moms that listen are like trying to, we have stay-at-home moms, we have full-time working moms, we have moms that are wearing 3 different hats, and so all
hybrid working, as we're called.
Hybrid working. So love to hear. We love to hear stories like that.
So it started really very simply. People in my world noticed that I was not an insane psycho about money anymore, and that I was like going out to eat and enjoying life a little more. And they were like, what's happening? And I was like, oh, we started this. And so it just started really like one-to-one, like, well, I'll help you do something and for your family. And then maybe she would tell a friend. And when my son was born in 2017, I was like, I can't work 14-hour days as a teacher. Like, I would like to have some time with my own family. And so I quit teaching full time at the end of that year. So kind of halfway through 2017. And I started some like MLM companies, which I did fine with. It was enough to bring in what we needed to do the plan that we had created.
Sure.
But I was like helping people with money right and left on the side. And 2020, you know, when the world stopped, I was like, oh, this could be fun. And so I just threw it out on social media. I had no idea what I was doing. No, it was Black Friday of 2020. And I was like, hey, I have 2 spots for one-on-one coaching, and both of them were grabbed. I think it was like $300 for like 6 months. It was something crazy.
Oh my gosh. Holy cow.
But it was so fun. And from that point forward, it was just like, oh, this is what I do.
That's so cool. So that was almost 6 years ago, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
So Anna, we do have a question actually kind of related to this. Somebody wrote in and asked about investing in a small business, and they ask, how much is too much to gamble on? Is there a golden ratio? So how did you think about that? And then what would you advise others to do?
That's a really good question. Meredith, it reminds me of when you were trying to figure out if you were going to go to the sales girls thing, and you were like, I want to go. I feel like I could afford it, but like, how do I know?
Yeah.
And so pardon me. I got
it's the season.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
My daughter's homesick today. So here we go. I think the first thing that I would do is really sit with yourself. Like, does money already feel tight? If money already feels tight, then we need to do some, like, a few things first before we can say yes or no to that. And I don't know what the investment is. I don't know what that looks like. But also, if you know what the number is, I think you could start working towards that right now. It's so hard to know without the whole picture. So they work full time right now. Is that the thing?
We don't know. That's the full extent of the question. So,
okay, but here's what I would.
I was going to say, maybe something that would be helpful is like what questions to ask, like kind of like that. Like, does money already feel tight right now? That would be one question to ask if somebody was, what was it? What was the question, Anna? It was like how to know how much to invest
to gamble on, if there's like a golden ratio type thing.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what I know about women. We are very resourceful, and when we put our mind to something, like it's gonna happen, whether it's hard or not. I definitely want to know if money feels tight first, because if money already feels tight, adding that in is gonna make you self-sabotage at the end of the day, because you're gonna be worried about making money back from that immediately versus serving the population or the people or creating the product that you really want to create. That mental gymnastics that you have to go through to justify having that business and making money right away, it can ruin your chances of growing a business. And it's all mental at the end of the day. But I would just say, do you have money in savings? Are you already investing in retirement? If you're not, like, it's not a deal breaker, but I kind of would like to see some benchmarks hit before I'm like, yeah, go all in. Because once you go all in, it's hard to like pull that back, because now you've invested probably financially, and you may have dug a deeper hole that might feel harder to get out of. It's just the feelings and the emotions that go into money are so crucial with women. And we are emotional beings by design, I think. And I don't think that you should pull the emotions out of money decisions, but lean into them and decide, is it like a fear-based emotion that's driving this decision? Or is this like, I know that this is what's going to change our situation?
Yeah. So
I don't know if that helps.
Well, you're lighting a fire under me, because this is one of my favorite topics, because what you're describing is scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. So what you did when you just threw out on social media on Black Friday and were like, hey, I've got 2 spots available. Let's see what happens. It was an abundance. It's like, hey, I've got some extra time. is this a need? And I imagine if nobody had booked those hours, you would have been like, oh, well, didn't work. Yeah. Okay. But when we are living out of fear, out of scarcity of, I need this to work because I've invested $10,000 in this that I probably didn't have to invest in the first place. I've heard it said, I worked for somebody one time who said, when your back is against the wall is when you see result. And I just disagree. Like, I think, sure, there are, and there's some incredible underdog stories about where that has happened, where it's like, there's nothing else to do and you've just got to make it work. But I think the majority of, quote, success stories are when we just take that first step. Like it didn't cost you anything to post on Instagram or social media, hey, I've got 2 hours available. If anybody wants, here's what it costs. That didn't cost you anything. What it cost was that emotional step of putting yourself out there. And for me, that's the biggest cost, is just the vulnerability of doing it scared, Yeah.
I've made a lot of big investments in my business, and there are some where I did feel like my back was up against the wall. Like, oh, I don't know that was like financially a smart decision. I know that I'm going to grow from this, but I don't know if I'm going to get my money back from this. There's like a difference.
Okay, speak to that, because that's huge what you just said. It's not just ROI financially, but it's return on energy or return on growth that you can't see in our bottom line always.
Well, and I'm just going to be honest, I feel like that is a lot of the investments that I've made in my business. It's not always a financial return, and in some instances, it was not a great fit for me, and I wish I'd known that going into it. However, I'm a firm believer that you can learn something from anything. And so I learned what I did not want to grow my business. Like I knew the model I didn't like. I knew the tone I did not like to be spoken to. I knew like how I wanted to communicate with my clients versus how I was communicated with. I learned so much about what felt absolutely disgusting to me and what I never wanted to replicate in my business. And it was worth the money at the end of the day. Now, did I want that money back? Yeah. Like, but I feel like, I'm a former teacher. You have to learn something from everything, or what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have bad experiences.
Yeah.
We teach our kids this all the time. Like, it's not always going to be great, but like, what can we use from this to move forward?
That's awesome.
I wonder too, if that can even be framed into a question around, like, if I make this investment and I don't get it back, am I willing to still spend, let's use your example, Holly, $10K on a learning experience? Like, do I have enough cush? Could that, like, if that's what happens at the end of this, let's say it's some kind of 6-month membership thing and it's $10,000 and you're like, I'm really on the fence about if I should do this, if it's going to help me grow, blah, blah, blah. But if you know that you're going to grow no matter what, because you're going to commit to learning something, then you're asking that question of, like, can this make sense financially, even if I don't get an ROI financially? Am I comfortable doing this if it's more of an emotional ROI?
That's great.
I think you have to know yourself really well. I know that I am very social in groups, like investments that I've made where I'm in a group setting. I make networking connections. I sign clients in almost every room that I'm in. I find some way that has leveled up either my mindset or my business. Like, I know that I'm going to get the money out of it in my ways. Yeah. It may not be in the way that I was promised joining this container. So I think knowing yourself and knowing what your strengths are, knowing, like, really what your mindset is. Are you a negative Nancy? If you are, I don't know, like, I'd pause before spending $10,000 on something that may or may not give you $10,000 back, you know?
Yeah.
That's
so
good.
Fair. That's fair. Should we ask her about themes now, or should we go into other questions? Okay.
Well, I think the same team. Well, I love the same team. Being on the same team with your partner, I would love to talk about that, because that is always a challenge, and when you're on the same team and whatever it is, whether it's money or parenting or everything else, that feeling of like, we're doing it together, but getting to that point when you're not in that point when it comes to money. Becca, help us.
Yeah. Well, so there are 2 situations that I've run into even as recently as last week. And that's you share life with your partner, but not finances. And you share life and finances with your partner. And so these are two totally different scenarios in the way that you handle them. So let's say that you are sharing life with your partner, but you are not sharing finances. This gets sticky really fast because if you're working with me, I'm not going to force you to have conversations with a partner. I'm not going to force you to say, like, open up your bank account. We're doing finances together. What I am going to suggest is that you go first. And very likely they are going to come along after they see some sort of transformation or, you change the way that you're acting or the way that you're feeling, or I don't know, you've booked a vacation that you were hesitant to book before. That's my recommendation across the board. You have to go first. Now, we're not dragging them along. We are not forcing them to do anything. However, you can always say, like, I think that here's what I've experienced. And I think if we did this together, I think that we could have X, Y, and Z. I think that we could go on more vacations. I think we could save for retirement. I think we could retire early. I think we could buy that rental home, like whatever the goal is. You cannot drag them along. I dragged my husband for 2 years and he was happy, very unhappy. And I was unhappy that he was unhappy. So the other scenario is you're sharing life and finances. It can still be, a tug of war. It can still be, well, I want to spend all the money or save all the money. Well, I want to spend all the money. So I'm the saver in the family. My husband is very much Mr. Spendy is what we call him. And still we have kind of like discussions about why do you want that? And he'll tell me why he wants it. And then I understand, oh, okay, it's not just him blowing money. It's him, like, this is very important to him and in his life, and his life matters too, right? Like he only has a certain amount of time on this earth, just like me. And so is that $100 in savings going to change my life? Maybe, probably not. But is this going to make our relationship more solid? Is this going to make him trust the process more? Is this going to make us have better conversations more often? If the answer is yes, it's probably the best thing to do. So you can't drag your kids to do things. Well, you can sort of at a certain age. But like just yesterday, my son was like, he's gonna be 9. Oh my gosh, in 3 weeks. And he was like yelling at me, I want my tablet. And I was like, we're not doing that today. Like, I understand what's best for you, and we're not doing tablet time today. That is how people sometimes treat their relationship with their partner. Like, I know what's best, and here's how we're going to do this. And I don't think that conversations work well with finances specifically when you're running the conversation that way. Yeah. There is something that I can tell you could do today with your partner. I suggest doing it separately first and coming together and having a conversation about it. So I call it the values list. And I want you to write down, 1 to 5 things that you really want to be able to spend your money on. So it can be as simple as, like, I want to go get, let's think of something.
Get your nails done.
Get your nails done. So one of my clients wanted to get a weekly blowout, and her husband was like, that is so dumb. Like, why are you spending money on that? He wanted to take cello lessons, and she was like, that's equally as dumb. Why are you wanting to spend money on that? And so they did the values list, and they came together and had the conversation. And she said, you don't understand. I get so much work done in the salon while I'm getting the blowout. And then the confidence that I have when I leave that blowout, I do content creation. I sign new clients regularly. Like, it is not just a blowout. Here are the things that come from it. And he was like, oh, well then, like, go get him every week. And so I explained to her that his high stress job was like, he needed something to do with his hands when he got home. He needed something to tap into when he got home. And once she understood that, she was like, oh, well, okay, that actually sounds like a beautiful thing for you to invest in. So it's just having these conversations. What's the meaning behind the thing that they're always wanting to spend money on? And that's what the values list is. So take your 2 separate value lists and come together and have a conversation and figure out what to compromise on.
So good.
Sounds like such a no-brainer until, like, of course,
Yeah.
listen to the other person. What do you mean?
Oh, that's so good. So Becca, your story resonated with me because I grew up in FPU and now have lots of strong opinions about Dave Ramsey. But I'm grateful for that experience as a kid because my parents did not, they were doing their best, but they, were not. They made some financial decisions that they needed FPU to help them get out of. And I was like literally like 5-year-old. This was like right after Dave Ramsey had started it in their very first office in Nashville. And I'm like listening to the cassette tapes and taking notes. I'm sure that doesn't surprise anyone. I was like doing all of our family homework for us. Oh yeah.
Oh, God.
Wow. I mean, or like somewhere in like, I don't know, kindergarten, first
You're
grade.
a child.
Like holding the envelopes in the store.
Doling out.
1,000%.
Yeah.
I
Mom,
guarantee you
here's
I
the
was.
grocery. Yeah. Here's
Yeah.
the list.
That was me. But what I love about what you said, because I think that his program has changed so many lives. And part of that is because it is so prescriptive. Because when you're in that moment, for many of us who are in $90,000 of debt or whatever it is, like we just need to be told what to do. Like, let me follow the process. But I love about the journey that you shared there, where then you were like, okay, but now how can I modify that to best fit where, our relationship and serve one another in this with the same end goal, but how do we make that look, unique to us and our relationship? So I just love that you share that. And I guess like, I don't know if you have anything around that to share when it comes to partnership of, any or like regular rhythms that you guys do now to like help you support, like, hey, is this still serving us? Is it not? I don't know. I'm just curious. Like my husband and I we have all the best intentions of saying, we even went to like this 1-day marriage thing on generosity that was really helpful for us. And leaving it, we were like, that was awesome. We need to have like a weekly, at least an hour meeting where we're talking about money and like whatever, like a business meeting between the two of us, but make it fun over a glass of wine or whatever. Well, that was like a month ago. Have we done that? No. You know what I mean?
So hard. Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know, Becca, if you have any like tips and tricks on regular rhythms that couples can have. I'll leave it at that. Help me.
It is difficult. I will say even here at our house, it has turned into like a monthly, hey, like me just kind of ambushing him. Hey, like let's look at the numbers. His job is still like, I'm in bed when he gets home at night from work. So, there's not much overlap. And so for us, he is okay with me being like, here are the numbers. Here's what I think we could do better next week or next month. We like ate out a lot last month, and I would like to keep it at this for this coming month. Are you cool with that? So it's check-ins more than anything. I think if you're starting that, it needs to be weekly to get in the habit of it. And I know that's very like, here's what you should do, but it works. And even if it's, you set a timer for 15 minutes, this does not need to be an afternoon conference meeting. Like like nobody wants that. Him least of all, I can imagine. But like set a timer for 15 minutes and have like a little tiny agenda. I want to talk about this first, this second, this third. Everything else can wait until next week.
That's great.
And that's it. Like we're not here. We're not having it's not an intervention every week. Although, sometimes I feel like I want it to be, but I also recognize that I'm still a little crazy about money. So, I think it needs to be weekly at first. And very, very, we're in and out and we're making like maybe one decision.
That's great advice. Like rather than like clearly for whatever reason, an hour seems like too big of a chunk for us. Yeah. So then, let's start with 15. And then before we know it, maybe it'll, maybe it's always 15 or maybe it goes to 30 or an hour or whatever that might look like.
Well, as you start to make progress, you might want to spend more time digging into the numbers. You might want to spend more time like, oh, let's see what it would look like if we did this and play with the numbers. That comes over time. But like playing with the numbers when you're first starting feels like, how am I ever going to get there? Like, how am I ever going to get to that spot?
Yeah.
The other thing that I don't know that maybe this is intentional but I'm hearing is, but you own it though. Like you're owning the process. And that's been helpful. I've shared this before in our podcast, but there's a book and a card deck called Fair Play.
Yes.
That's been really helpful for my husband and I. But I even wonder, like, I think money or budget is like one of the cards, but even within that, I wonder if he and I need to start thinking about what within that do we own? Because it sounds like you are owning the budget, you're owning the meeting. Do you feel like there has to be one person in the relationship that owns it and is being proactive about it in order for you to make progress on financial goals?
Yes, 100%. So my husband is so happy to like not be the one who does the finances, and I'm very happy taking care of them because for me it's a way that I take care of my family. It's not me just looking at the numbers. It's a way that I am serving my family and I'm thinking long term about them. I'm thinking about how are we going to get the beach house that we actually want next year? Like things like that. And so for me, it's not just about the numbers, it's about what comes from me paying attention to the numbers. And somebody has to be responsible for that. Somebody has to take that on as like, this is how I am, another way that I'm serving my family and I'm making sure that we get the things that we are really, really working hard towards.
So what would you say to the mom that's like feeling resentful because maybe their partner, they wish that their partner would own it, like they don't enjoy it? But they realize like, okay, if this is going to happen, I'm the one that has to own this. And I don't like doing this. I don't like numbers, whatever this might be. Like, what advice would you give to that mom who might be feeling a little bit resentful about it, but realizes like, okay, I'm the one that's going to have to own this, at least in this season, you know?
I would tell her that I understand like 100%. I know exactly how you feel. And also I know what it feels like on the other side to have really mastered money and all of the things that we get to have because of it now. And so feeling a little uncomfortable right now, feeling a little bit like I wish he would take care of this it's trivial compared to all of the things that we have gotten to experience, all of the things that the vacations that we get to go on, the retirement accounts ticking up. Like it's rewarding. It's really rewarding at the other end. And it's not just like a financial reward. It's like, I'm really good at this. And I know that I'm really moving my family forward. And it's so easy to see the progress. So it's easy for you to stay motivated to keep going. And so I would just tell her that I think it's something that you're just going to have to like cry, kick and scream about, and then just like strap up your boots and go, okay, I'm just going to do it. And eventually, maybe he wants to do it with me and maybe not. Maybe I just become like the CEO of this family and I'm going to get really good at it.
Well, and can I add, I in many ways was and still can be that spouse where I'm like, yes, set a budget. And he's like, I don't need one. You do. So, and I'm like, okay. But I was like, I'm overwhelmed. I would like just live in dead bug, so to speak. Just like, it's overwhelming. So then that's when I knew like, oh, I need Becca's help. I needed somebody's help, but it just happened to be that Becca was in my orbit at the time. And I'm like, oh, she's approachable. She would make it like so much less scary because I'm like, oh, I don't want to look at it. I just don't want to. And so if that is you and you have the means to work with someone, because I just think when you have a little bit of kind camaraderie, not someone telling you what you should do, have to do, while you spent what on what, it's like, oh my gosh, like I worked with Becca. I have another girlfriend who, kind of took ownership and was like, okay, I don't care what you do or don't do about finances. I've been asking for years and I'm just going to take some ownership and like do this thing. She worked with somebody out of Charlotte, actually, Becca. I know you're also in Charlotte, but she worked with somebody and this person was super kind and bore no judgment on looking at her entire, like all of her expenses, but she did it with someone else who could like support, encourage, bear witness to, affirm, and go like, wow, like, it's okay, great. Okay, if this is something, like, they met her where she was, Becca met me where I was, and it made everything so much easier. So that, to me, was also massive.
Can I speak to that for just a second?
You may.
So I know what it feels like to be in that spiral of, God, it's so bad, but, like, where do I start? It feels so overwhelming. It feels like a massive, massive undertaking, and how am I gonna dig us out of that?
Yeah.
And then as a coach, I'm looking at you in that same spiral and I just want to pluck you out of it and just say like, I promise you it's not as bad as you think it is.
Yes.
And the numbers are actually telling you that it's not as bad as you think it is. And we're going to look at the numbers. We're going to like put your feelings on a shelf for a second. And I'm going to look at the numbers with you. So we always say like data over drama. So you're in the drama day to day. Like you're swiping your card, you're closing your eyes, you're like hoping, like deleting the emails. And like you think it's bad, but it might not actually be, likely is not as bad as you think it is. I don't think I've had maybe 2 clients over the last 6 years where it was as bad as they thought it was. And even then, now we know, and now we can put an action plan together.
That's right. That's right. It just matters so much.
I'm gonna hold your hand, but I'm also gonna like, come on, let's go.
Yeah. But you also could affirm like this is not as bad. Like, here's what we're looking at. Here's what it is. Okay. Like, it just was like, oh, okay. It was simple math, and it was just a matter of looking at it, and just having someone give you the bravery to look at it, I think mattered so much. Hannah or Anna, do y'all have anything to ask in this time?
I have so many questions. So Hannah, you go first if you have any.
No, you go, Anna.
Well, one thing as you've been talking that I think would be really helpful as like a starting tip for people is if you use a spreadsheet or if you use apps, or like what do you use or recommend that people use to get started with any of this?
So good.
I personally use a spreadsheet. And I'm going to be honest, I was not a spreadsheet girly before all of this. So like, if I can learn to work a spreadsheet, I know you can, but if you really, really have like an aversion to it, and that's going to be the one thing that's constantly stopping you from getting a handle on what's going on with your money, use an app. Like, who cares? Use a notebook. It's not very error free, a notebook. But if that's how you need to start, then that's how we're going to start. In my membership, which is, Meredith, you were asking about Mind Her Business. Mind Her Business is now the Money Girls membership.
Yep.
And so it's just a monthly subscription. It's $67 a month. Like, anybody can afford that. And we do use a spreadsheet, but it is so simple, and it takes like 10 minutes to input all of your information. And I've made it that way purposefully because I know people hate spreadsheets. And I'm gonna make you love a spreadsheet because it's all girly and it's colorful and it's really easy to use.
Yeah, it is. I can confirm. If it's the same spreadsheet, it is game changing. It's
but
stupid how game changing it is.
Like, if you're doing this on your own, if you're DIYing it, like, get an app. It's fine. It's gonna do the same thing. It's gonna give you the same information. I think I was looking into Monarch the other day. I think it's $99 a year, I believe.
Yeah, that's what my husband and I signed up for and quote use. I say that because we have it. Have we looked at it more than, like as we should? No, but because in theory, what I like about it, or what we were, again, is like, it's supposed to kind of, once you get a couple months in, it auto bucket. So it tells you like, hey, here's what you're spending your money on. And so that's what we are hoping to be able to get out of it, to go, okay, this was way more, like, we were spending way more on this than we thought we were, or we need to cut back here, whatever, rather than manually having to do it. But anyway,
well, I can tell you where your money's going.
The app is not magic. Yeah, exactly.
Your money is going, okay, now this is historically working with all of the women that I've worked with. Your money is going to groceries. It's going to eating out and convenience, like any type of convenience.
Like Amazon.com.
Yeah.
Which should be literally convenience.com because it's super convenient. But it's not always like the best use of your finances. I mean, I'm not saying don't use it at all, spend your money where you want to spend it, but that's where your money's going. And those are the 3 most controllable areas too, and that's the best part. You can control where your or how you're spending your money on groceries. I know they're a bit more expensive right now. That doesn't mean you don't have control over it. You can control your eating out, like set a limit and like eat out. Who cares? We're not. If you died tomorrow and you hadn't eaten out in 3 years, like, I would feel really bad for you. I would feel sad that you had not experienced someone cooking a meal for you in 3 years. Like, don't do that. We're not like, we need some joy also.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned envelopes earlier and it escaped me, but now I'm back. Okay. Here's my take on envelopes. Okay. So mentally, here's what you're doing when you're counting money out of an envelope. Like, we're pulling money out. Oh my God, I only have $25 left. And like, what does your brain do? Like, we're poor. Yeah. We can't spend any money. I have to stop like living life. And this is what I tell people all the time. Budgeting, you are also setting a limit, but we're counting up to that number. which is a lot different mentally than counting down to 0. And so let me tell you, I know it's the same thing.
I love you, Becca, because you're talking about mindset.
Yeah.
It's like, and so seeing $25 left in the envelope is scary, and that's fear-based.
Yeah.
Counting up to a number that you get to spend is exciting.
Ooh, I have $25 left. Like,
yes,
it makes such a difference. And so I like go for it. If the envelope system is working for you, like please, whatever works for you. But if it is really messing with your head, we got to start a different
mindset
method.
Yeah.
I even felt like that in high school with my envelope. I was like, oh no, I can't get gas this month.
Did you have envelopes in high school?
Yeah, my parents did the same thing. And so everyone used envelopes all the time. Yeah.
Wait, okay, this might need to be a part 2. I'm going to just claim you, Becca, for another time. I think it would actually be really interesting. This is not a parenting podcast, but maybe, I don't know, maybe we offline, but I would be really interested to know about how to teach kids about finances, because I think so many parents are well-intentioned. I had the envelope system, but it was like a wink. It was like, I was not being monitored. Are you kidding me? Please. So like, I'm dropping money left and right on stupid stuff. I did not have guidance, well-intentioned, just not a lot of follow-through and guidance. Mom, I love you. She's not listening to this anyway, so it does not matter. But like, it would be really interesting to think about how can we have a healthy relationship with money, with other people's approach to money, how like prioritizing. I don't know. It would just be an interesting conversation. So maybe we just put a pin in that, but
okay, but before we do that, before we put a pin in it,
Please.
I'm going to give you something literally you can use today. And this could be the only thing that you ever needed to talk to your kid. Just saying. It works so well in this house, and some of my other friends are using it at theirs. So 2 years ago, both of my kids were in dance, and it was every Tuesday night. And the year before was a really like mentally stressful year for me. So we would go to McDonald's or Chick-fil-A after dance every Tuesday night. Well, the next year, I was like, we're not doing that. I don't want all of my money to go to Chick-fil-A and McDonald's.
Yeah.
Nutrition aside. And so the first night we left dance, and my son was like, why? You just passed McDonald's. And I was like, we're not going to go to McDonald's tonight. Why not? We always go to McDonald's. And I said, I know we used to do that, but this weekend, we're planning to go to Carowinds, where we can ride roller coasters and go to the pool and like all of those things. I would rather spend that money like taking you to Carowinds. And he was like, well, I'd rather go to Carowinds too. And I was like, cool, we're going to go home to eat tonight. And that was it.
Wow.
He was 5. He was 5 at the time.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So
because you're teaching them delayed gratification, which is such an important skill. God, I bring up.
But like,
amazing.
It's you always choose where your money's being spent, whether it's a conscious decision or not. Like if you drive by Target on the way home and you slide into the parking lot because it's been a really rough day and you spend $300, that was a choice.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know that it was a conscious choice, and that's okay. But when you're talking to kids about money, keep it super simple and like, well, I would like to treat you guys to this weekend instead of doing this. What are your thoughts? And my son was like, yeah, roller coasters, like,
wow,
not a choice.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think that's interesting. I saw something recently about, like giving your kids a certain amount of money per week. And it was $25 per kid per week. That kind of seems like a lot, right? But then they were saying like, 10% goes to giving, like they have to give it to something that they don't get anything in return. Like not like something like you give this and you get a prize or whatever, just like something that they give, and then 20% goes to savings. So then they save 20, and I think it was like $17.50 they had to spend. And she said it actually saved her money because like she wasn't spending like, oh, they want something at the checkout line, or they want something. Oh, if it was in the timing budget, maybe your son could have like chosen his own meal or whatever it is. Like they get to choose and make those decisions of like, do I want to spend my money? Oh, I have $17. Like, do I want to spend my money on this? But then that's going to be, oh, that's $7. And then I won't have, I really want this new pair of shoes that like, I already have sneakers, but these are fancy shoes. Like these are different shoes and I want to save up and for these kinds of things. So it helps them to decide like, oh, what do they really want to spend their money on outside of like, your groceries and things like that. But some question I did have is about future, the education or saving for our kids. I know sometimes I get like, Instagram reels of like, this is what you can do and this will make your kid a 30 millionaire when they're, whatever, or like, all you have to do is this, and this account. And so I guess like what other than, I mean, for our kids, personally, we have 529 accounts for them, but is that it? Is that the only thing? I know we were advised, like, don't put everything in that. Like, you can have a 529 account. That's great. But, you kind of want flexibility with your money when they get older and things like that. Like they could have some for education, which I know is broader than just college, but anywho, what are your, I guess, kind of ideas
I
about that?
think it matters what your values are as it relates to your children and like the future that you're creating. We are not doing education accounts for our kids because we're not going to force them to go to college. I have 2 college degrees, neither of which I'm using. And I had to pay a lot of loans back from those. So if they choose to go, I do not mind helping them. We personally are, because that's a value of ours. My husband didn't go to college. He has a really good job. We don't think that it's completely necessary.
Right,
and it might be
totally.
depending on the career path that you're going down, and that's fine. We have custodial accounts for our kids that we drop money into. And like when parents or grandparents are asking, oh, can we like open a savings account? We actually have one for them. And if you'll like send us the money, or we can send you the account and you can drop it in there. But this is going to be controversial.
We love it. We love
it anyway. I'm not concerned about saving money for my children. I would like to give them the skills that they need to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. Am I saying that I will not leave anything to them? Absolutely not. But I don't want them to depend on me to give them a financial leg up. Will I always help them? Yeah, I will always help them. Are they here to hear that right now? No, they are not here to hear that. So I think it just depends on like the way that you grew up with money. Now, my parents started dirt poor and have built a giant portfolio for themselves. And they are constantly trying nickel and dime so that they can leave that to me and my brother. And I always say, like, it's not my money. I'm not going to be upset if there's no money left for me. Will I be really, like, I don't know, grateful if there is? Yes, but that's not my money. I didn't work all those years for that. I didn't grind for like 40 years for that money. And so I just kind of want my kids to, I don't know, go out into the world and know that they can stand on their own 2 feet. They have the skills, they have the tools, they have the mindset, and then they have the safety net at home should they need it. So I don't know. That doesn't answer your question, but there are lots of real accounts.
No, I think it's good and it's helpful to like, think about what are your values when it comes to your kids and what do you want to leave or not leave to them? What do you want to instill in their future?
It also matters, like if you are saving money for them outside of a 529, it also matters like when you want them to receive that money. So a lot of the accounts that you're putting money into, they can tap into when they're 18. And an 18-year-old loves cars, like, treating themselves most of the time. But you can also do trusts and stuff where there are stipulations as to what age they can receive the money. Can it be lump sums or is it paid out monthly? What can they use the money for? So my kids' grandparents have put not my parents, but the other side of the family, my husband's parents, have put a trust together for the kids. And there are only 3 reasons they can pull that money out. They have to start a business, buy a home, or what was the third thing?
Health or something, like if something.
Maybe it was to go to school, but even my husband's dad is like, college is dumb. Like he owns a very successful business. Like a large chain of restaurants. So of course he's going to think like college is probably not the route, but own a business, start a business, buy a home. I don't know. Maybe it is to go to school, but I love that. I love that.
That's really cool.
There's a reason to pull that money out.
Yeah, that's very cool. I love that.
Well, and that was, I mean, my takeaway from today is just a reminder of, and I feel like we didn't really start Get Mom Ready with this, but it keeps coming up over and over and over, which is just take the time to get clear on your values as a mom, as a family, as, partners, like as a person. I mean, yeah, so anyway, it's so good because we just recently opened a 529 for our daughter, but even in our meeting about it, we were even kind of going back and forth. I'm like, should we not? Like, who knows what college is going to look like and blah, 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 blah. But if we had taken time to really establish our values around that first, then that decision would have been clearer. And so anyway, I just love that reminder, Becca, that it all goes back to that of the lens by which we can make decisions. And so, love it.
I wish I had more like concrete, do this and then do that. But like that was what got me in trouble with finances is like, here's
save every penny and then you guys like
in case. It's like, wait, just in case what?
Right.
And that's how I grew up. It was like, and I worked at a very early age. I think I was 15. I got a worker's permit and I went to work because I was expected to pay for half of my car when I turned 16, and I was gonna have a car when I was 16. Yeah. So I worked and I saved, and even after I paid for the car, my mom was like, what are you doing with your paychecks? Like, you better be saving. You never know when, just in case. And I was like, what is this just in case? What should I be afraid of? So I took that into adulthood for a really long time. And it wasn't until I was like mid-30s, I realized my parents actually were not scarcity. They chose what was important to them. Savings was important to them. Updating our house, like decorating our house, not important. Taking us on really good vacations where we learned the culture of the world and that other people are different than us, very important to them. And so I didn't see that until I was older and I was trying to make decisions with my own money. I was like, oh, they did the same thing. It was just from a different lens.
That's so good. Do you have anything concluding that you would say, like a charge for women?
Listen, we're in 2026 and the world is on fire, and you have a responsibility to yourself and to your kids, your family, the world, to take care of your money so that you can use it to make this world a better place, even if that starts in your home. And I cannot stress this enough. When you have control of your money, everything else feels easier. Everything feels easier. Relationships feel easier. Unexpected expenses feel easier. Donating feels easier. Helping somebody who really needs help feels easier. Your car goes in the shop. It's not a whole spiral. It's like, oh, I wish I weren't spending that money, but like I have it. Everything is easier when your money is under control. And I just feel like if all the women were in charge of the money, the world would look like a different place.
That's a good word, sister. Okay, tell everyone where they can. First of all, thank you for being here. It lit up my life. I mean, oh my gosh, and I think it's going to be a very popular episode. Tell everybody where they can connect with you, how they can work with you. You mentioned the membership is $67 a month. We can go on what website and look at that? Like, give us all the deets.
I live on Instagram mostly, and it's The Money Girls Official. And I just started a TikTok today, which is so I can do a bunch of this. So like come show me some support because it's gonna be rough, guys. But it's The Money Girls Official, but there's a period in between each of the words. So it's the same thing. But I have the membership and I have one-on-one coaching, and those are the two places that I serve right now. And
but do we sign up for that on, because I'm looking at your Instagram right now and I don't see a link. So how do you like DM you? What does it look like?
For one-on-one coaching?
Or the membership?
Yeah.
If you go to the link in Instagram, hang on.
For those of us not on Instagram, me.
Oh, I'll send it to you guys. Maybe you guys can.
We'll just link it.
Do you have a website?
Yeah, in our show notes.
No, I got rid of my website. I got rid of all these things that I felt like were holding me back in business.
Yeah.
And I have Stan Store and Instagram and TikTok. And
I'm just going to text you is what I'm going to do.
Don't give my number out to everyone. Actually, you know what? That would be so easy. But you can also email me at mindherbusinessgirls@gmail.com, which is
it's okay. We'll link it all. No one has to remember it. We'll link it all. We'll put it in our resource email that we send out. And
I have a free challenge on the link in Instagram, so you can join that and figure out where your money is going in like 15 minutes.
It's very good. It's a good challenge. We need to link that in our Wednesday email that goes out. It's a very good challenge.
I want to say one thing to close us out, because I just learned this fact recently and it blew my mind. See if you guys have heard this. I shared it with one of my clients as a financial advisor, and she did not know this. women did not have the right to credit on their own until 1974 with the Equal Credit Opportunity Act. So my mom was 14 before women had the right in our country to be able to get credit, buy a house. I mean, I don't even know if they had credit cards at the time, but whatever, a loan from the bank without a male family member co-signing.
Wow.
So I think we just all have to have grace with ourselves as women. Like we literally, like we are the first generation who has been able to have credit.
Yeah.
There's a reason why we're behind. Like there are, so anyway, I get really passionate about that because I just learned that fun fact recently. And most of the people that I talk to literally have no idea that that was a thing. So yeah, it's like not only the right to vote that we're only a couple of generations removed from, but having access to credit is so new. My mom was 14. So anyway,
own a business.
So important.
I think it was the 1980s before a woman could own a business without a male co-signer, which is like, I was born in the 1980s. Like, what are we talking about?
It is. So
Such a good, I think that's such a good reminder of like not feeling bad about like why is this not like ingrained, or also why, because if you think of like what generations passed down from us, like so many things are passed down. And so if we didn't have that, or you know, they are learning for the first time on their own.
Yeah, that's fair. That's good.
Yep. Well, this was awesome. Thank you so much, Becca. We're grateful
thank
for you. And just a reminder, everybody, thank you to PDPed, our sponsors. Go to pdped.com, use code MOMREADY for 20% off your first order. And we'll see you next week at getmomready.com. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Becca.
Becca, it was
Thank you for
awesome.
having me.
Thank you so much. It was so fun.
Love you.